Hi Taurus, this is going to be your art channeled message. I channel messages through art, creativity. I really hope my messages inspire you to see the art within yourself, within your journey, and within everything around you, because we all start from zero, which is just a blank canvas or the fool's journey. Trying to introduce something fresh, something new, something that's just a reflection of me. So if you're new here, I really hope you stick around or just enjoy the video. If you'd like a personal reading, all that is down below. And lastly, there's no rules here. All of my messages are timeless, and what's special about them is you can get anything from them. From advice, from like subliminals, the underlying stuff, because like the overall art and the underlying art, if you look at my art or even listen to my messages, you'll see how it's like starts with one thing and it all connects. And I don't even intend on doing so. It just happens. So, what I started drawing for you was a cube where you can see the inside of it, like a room with walls on each side. And then there's a small square at the end to resemble the third wall. Essentially, it's like those 3D diagrams of a room or inside of a cube. Have you ever seen that in school where it's a cube, but you can see the inside of it, like what's supposed to look like, what the dimensions look like? Then I heard the word cubicle. Like, this is my space, this is my office, this is my room. Like, literally cubicle. This is giving me the vibe of wanting to be left alone. Everyone has their private space they go to recharge. It's something that's built slash made, that was weird, slash made just for you or just for somebody. Ooh, I just heard solitary confinement. And when you take a second look at my drawing, it looks like a small space or a small cubicle. And solitary confinement is supposed to be like claustrophobic and uncomfortable because it's a form of punishment. I also heard time out. Time out can mean literally taking time out. But it also, it can literally mean time out, taking time out to recharge. But it also alludes to being put on time out like a child. Like, go sit in the corner for 5 minutes or go over there. It's gonna be 10 days, 20 days without this, or so you can learn not to do that. People are put in confinement too when they're a threat to others, but I'm mostly saying that figuratively. Like, you can't touch this, you don't stand a chance against Taurus. In jail, everyone as a whole is considered confined, right? But this is a step ahead of jail. One is isolated from society altogether, and then the other is isolated to another notch. It's like taking it up a notch. All of them are isolated from a society, but what do you call it when they're isolated from inside the jail? You get it? So, Taurus, I'm getting it's like you will be forced into isolation by the universe, by fate, and it's not to protect you, it's to protect others in a good way. Or maybe to preserve you from others. Oh my god, I'm seeing as well, you being gone is actually supposed to be a punishment towards another group or another person, so that they feel the absence. Not to mention, you learn so much by being in pure isolation. It's a time to face yourself, to sit down and face yourself, maybe even talk with yourself. Not literally talking to yourself, but it's like, are you at peace? Do your thoughts get the best of you? Are you a prisoner to your own mind? Can you handle that without going insane? I'm hearing insane asylum as well. They even have solitary confinement in places like that, which is very ironic. It's all coming together. It's like you're a boss, Taurus. I'm just getting an art theme surrounding going into your private space. Perhaps the ones that will go insane are the people that must now cope without you saving the day, without your presence, And instead of sitting with them, you're sitting in a chair. I also drew a chair in a small room. It's like the most powerful beings take time out to recharge, to understand. Silence. They love isolation. They flourish in isolation, but not everyone does. Lastly, before I get into the reading, I'm getting, like, you know how they say if you can't take being alone, or if someone else can't take going through that, that means they're in bad company, like they're the bad company? And in turn, you shouldn't want that person around you, because if they're bad company for themselves, they're bad company for everyone else. I mean, I feel like that's a heads up from this message as well, of something just to look out for. It's like a little secret, little tip. Being alone is often better company than being with the group. It looks like a punishment, but it's only bad for the ones that, dun dun dun. It's like you don't fear the jail or being amongst prisoners of their own minds. Instead, they should fear you, because anyone that can do it is that person. You should fear that. You should fear losing that. A person that can be alone is dangerous, just like a person placed in solitary confinement, because they have to be away from the people, because maybe something happened, there's a scuffle, there's a fight, there's just tension. They're separated. I'm saying you're being separated from a group. Maybe you don't understand. Maybe this just happened on terms where, once again, it felt like it was forced. Maybe you perceived it as a loss, but you're not going to now. Perhaps this message is supposed to give you a different perspective. It's like you're not supposed to be with them because, like, you're dangerous in a good way. You need to be confined. And people like this, people like you, also won't hesitate to leave difficult situations just because they need company. It's like fear of losing someone. Where? You're not afraid to do it because you're already in good company. So, this is interesting. I'm gonna get an oracle card to start. I feel like I don't even need cards because this was already pretty long, but whoa. Fell on the floor. We have anxiety. Looks like she's in a room sitting down. It's like a prisoner to her own mind. 8 and 1 is also 9. This, you could consider this the 9 of Swords. And in the 9 of Swords, also laying down in a bed, looking distraught. So I'm also getting like the envisionment. I'm even like the first thing I saw here was it looks like she's biting her nails. She's not as you look closer, but it's like the first thing I could have sworn I saw was someone biting their nails. Seeing that, like someone's actually doing that. That's their stress reliever. That's a coping mechanism. You're even getting Monopoly, like go to jail for the moment, momentarily. Okay. So you being gone is going to cause anxiety, or perhaps that's what people expect you to do when you're by yourself. They think like something must be wrong, something must be weird about someone that doesn't want to always be around people, but that's not the case. It's like they see it as this, but it's really something else. Solitary confinement literally looks like that too. Are you a prisoner to your own mind? Or can you conquer your mind? Ten of Swords. 10 of Swords comes right after 9 of Swords. I'm seeing this as conquering one's own mind. The worst is over. Or one comes out of isolation a better person. It's almost like rejuvenated. I remember back a few months ago I did a reading where I was getting this scenario of acupuncture. It looks painful, but it's actually like rejuvenating you. It's good for your skin. It's like once something like hits you or punctures you, your skin heals itself. I'm also getting thicker skin. 9 of Cups. And Judgment. This person's sitting in a chair. I've always seen this represents you eventually conquering your own thoughts. It's like, I have everything I need already. It's kind of, I'm even hearing it's like how people stay in their room or like stay at home, and it's like, why would I leave the house? It's like a joke, like, why would I leave the house when everything I need is here? Food, shelter, music, hobbies, entertainment, TV. It's like, that's how I'm seeing this. Could it even be considered like indulgence or just partaking in activities? And we have Judgment. And also, have you noticed in general with like the imagery here, this is confinement, being like held down, restrained. Like, I'm not even seeing this as just being placed in a room. It's almost like being pushed down, forced to do something. Almost looks like an arrest, or it's like, get down, like, give me your weapon, but like metaphorically. So this leads me to think again, like, you were definitely forced out of somewhere, and you perceived it as like the end of the world. It's like you were backed into a corner, literally. Backed into a corner, but then you grew to love that corner. Like, literally, it looks like a corner. It's like, this is my space. Kind of like how people design or dress up their cubicle with like pictures, photos. It's like, that's theirs because they customized it. When you're in isolation, you customize it. You work with what you have, kind of. You work with what you hear. You hear like good voices. I'm also getting like listening to straight like guidance. You're going to realize that this was, you being backed into a corner was supposed to happen. Even seeing once again, it's like, don't worry about how it's perceived if you enjoy your own company. I'm not sure what that's about. Okay, so I just finished your reading. This keeps happening to me a lot where I get this last minute stuff or this last minute conversation, conclusion. Let me get those cards out. With these 3 cards, for one, I'm seeing this as being backed into a corner, one person being like this, the other being like this, which is you. But I'm also getting, you know how also with solitary confinement, or it's like, if someone's in a room with a detective and they're being interrogated, usually there's like an invisible wall where you can't see that side, but they can observe you. It's like observing behavior. It's like your behavior is being observed or analyzed with this by like actual people, but also angels, the divine, the only people you really have to answer to. Because maybe they know what's best. Well, after you as well. Because you're the one that has to take action. It's like, I'm viewing this as the one that's observing your behavior through like an invisible wall or a 2-way mirror. It's like a 2-way mirror. And I mentioned with my drawing at the beginning, it was like one of those see-through prisms or see-through cubes where you see the way it's designed inside of it as well. 3D instead of 2D. Whoa! 3D realm versus 2D. It's like they're seeing how you're doing or seeing how you can handle it. Take that as you wish. It's like, this is very interesting. I'm even hearing something about waiting for you to fold under pressure. It's like placing someone in solitary confinement. It's like, did you learn your lesson? Can we take you out now? When you're in a room with a detective, they usually set the temperature very cold, or it's like they say things like their aim, their intention is to make you uncomfortable, to make you fold, to make you crack. But it was like, something will not make you crack. And backed in the corner can also mean putting like pressure on someone, making them uncomfortable, like putting them into a corner, into a small space so that they can't escape the conversation or they can't escape what's going on. But it's like, you don't need to escape your mind. You don't need to escape a conversation because you're open. I'm not getting a super literal thing, but I feel like this is super relevant. Like, don't let anyone back you into a corner, or it's like observing one's behavior, thinking they're going to do horribly or thinking they're going to crack, go insane, but they never do. It's perfectly fine. It's like, what? Huh? What? So, and before I wrap it up, since it's a 2D or a 3D cube instead of 2D, right? That means 3D beings, or the 3D, can see through it, can see what you're doing. The only other person that can judge you or see you for what you really are is whatever you believe in. It's almost like you're never truly alone, or that's how you view it. That's how you need to view it when you're by yourself. It's like you're with God. You're always with someone. You're never alone. And I even get like something about like a strange occurrence where it's like you talk, have a conversation. It's like you're sitting down with God, but you're alone. You're in your room, you're in your cubicle, you're in your private space, but it's never truly private. But there's no judgment, there's no, you're like welcomed with open arms always. This ended on a beautiful note. 3D cube versus 2D cube. It looks like the walls are closing in. Looks like the walls are closed, but are they ever truly closed? Are you ever truly closed off from the 3D? It's like a two-way mirror. See-through. Okay, guys. That's the end of this art channeled message. Please like, subscribe, support the channel in any way you can. I'd really, 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 really appreciate it. Give a thumbs up. It really helps me. And yeah, bye. I know the reading has officially ended, but there's another thing. Like, if you're still watching this, cool, but you might miss it. I'm getting to put emphasis on crazy, or something going crazy, or something is for crazy people sometimes. I was getting the scenario of like the difference between schizophrenia or talking to yourself versus talking to or thinking out loud or speaking to from a religious standpoint, from a guidance standpoint. So that's very interesting as well. Pay attention to that. When you think out loud, when you feel guided to speak, who are you talking to? It's really not that crazy, because you're saying it for a reason. So pay attention to that as well. What are you saying in your prayers? What are you saying when you need guidance? Who are you looking to? How do you feel after you say it? Because I know every time I've done similar, or like when you pray, that's not crazy or weird, right? But like, how do you feel afterwards? Something very important about that, or something that's going to transform you in the same way. going to be like a life-changing experience, or it's going to seem like your answers, your prayers, or whatever will be heard.